bridge because what it does is it ends up completing their loop. And with that, it also will entail doing business with Pioneer Connect because it will advance their system to bring it into a bigger draw. So with that, they are not in resistance of, they're going to be coming up with a cost for us probably sometime next week. The thing is, it'll all be underground because they're trying to prevent any type of wind, trees, damage, or anything else to keep us continuing power. Which we know that we're going to have a certain amount of time that we will be down because it's cool. But the thing is they are encouraged because they want to do it as a company or as a cooperative and a community vendor because they know that we also protect their power lines. So in return, Billy Terry, which is the operations manager for Consumer Power, he is going to help us with grants, whatever it takes. So one of the first things we talked about was the Rural Electrification Act. I can't hold you to it, but I don't remember if it's 1932 or 1936. But anyway, that will be handled through our legislative representatives on that. And then from that, I contacted our EMS here in Lincoln County because they said that would be another good spot to go. We've got some options also with USDA and with family median income of the support for that station is very low. It's mostly retired people or people that don't have money. So the thing is the percent of grant money that USDA will bring forward is far more than what they're bringing at all. So anyway, overall, the thing is we've got multiple options. We can also go to the Ryan Group, whatever. The first stage we got to do is get a cost. And they had been approached a couple of years ago about a cost, but nobody ever followed through with it. So they just threw a ballpark out. But now with getting Pioneer Connect involved, Consumer Power involved, Central Coast involved, and getting Johnberg involved, getting Leiden's office involved, we will have an opportunity to fund it where it's not going to cost. We'll have data, we'll have high-tech everything in there to transmit cameras, everything we need. So the end result, it was a good meeting, and we're moving forward, and we're moving progress as we move forward. We should know something next week, and then we're going to push it on. Because they want us to have power.
Ballpark figure that they gave us, I think the sheriff just took off and between it.
Yeah, and the thing is they openly admitted that Lester and I, they just threw an absolute first shot.
It was
$100,000. But the thing is now incorporating all this other things into it, enhancing their power system, enhancing the Pioneer Connect system, enhancing it for us, and it'll all be underground. And, yeah, and we'll be working with the county, we've got the county on the bridge. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Well, I want to commend the group because one of the biggest things that I understand is happening about these everyone to take the time to use it as an application.
That is great.
To be able to assess how appropriately do it and not have it happen.
That is
Those
great.
are very interesting.
They're very enthusiastic. They did what they do. Well, their power too. Like the fire.
Because they're a cooperative, they've got to answer to their owners.
All right, then, we'll get on to citizen participation.
I would like to speak.
Go ahead.
My name is Peter Carnage, for those of you who don't know, and good evening to everyone. As a former board member, I wish to speak with you about last month's board meeting. It was disgusting watching the three of you viciously attack our chief and his staff like rabid dogs tearing at a piece of meat. One, it showed collusion. Two, it showed intent. And, and your actions were just horrible in that regards. What's worse is that you showed the world what board members look like from our area. Your behavior was just totally and utterly disrespectable and shows that you have zero respect for the office. The three of you should resign. In disgrace, by the way.
Here, let's stop for a second, okay? We got ridiculed pretty damn good over the letter and everything else. It was on social media. You all had your chance to bash it on social media. We don't really need no more bashing tonight. We get it. We're unprofessional. We're ignorant. I get all that. I get it. I don't really need to be called any more names tonight. I think we've all been called enough. And let me ask you a question. Were you happy with Fire Station when you resigned as a board member? Or were you happy with the conditions up there?
It was a work in progress.
Yeah, I guess.
And all of us were on board with it. Of course we were. We want a tower up there just like you. And the first recommendations we got were very high. You know that.
Was it followed up at all?
No, because they gave us such a high figure that it, we just said, we'll put this away.
Well, the same figure we heard, we went up and had a meeting with them to try to pursue it.
Well, good for you. But I get my 3 minutes up here regardless of what you think.
Don't waste your time, Peter.
Yeah.
Playing
I am. Show the world the board members of Central Coast. Your behavior, of course, was utterly despicable, and it shows you have zero respect for the office. The three of you should resign in disgrace, as you do not represent us or our values. To me, it is clear that your intention is to terminate our chief and his staff. So, I will say this. Continue in this direction, and we will recall each one of you, as none of you are fit to be board members of this great district. That's it.
Thank you for that.
Can I respond? Thank you. I think the meeting last time was very difficult, and absolutely, I believe that there are ways that could have been managed better, maybe more constructive. And I think tones all the way around happened in a way that you didn't intend, and I believe that we will learn from that and we're trying to move forward. The challenge is still, we're coming from a place where prior the district was not overseeing necessarily that operations were being done, that facilities were being maintained, that the money that our city community members entrust to us was being spent appropriately, fiscally responsibly. And that happened for a long time. And I grant you, the Chief Mason has inherited a big ball of stuff. And that is hard to weed through. But on the other hand, as board members, how do we ensure that that doesn't happen again without asking questions? How do we ensure that operations are being maintained without looking into information or into contracts or into agreements or hours or any of those things? I believe that we are learning. We are a young group. I believe our intent is very true to making sure that the community is being served, that our firefighters are being served, that our money is being spent appropriately and fiscally responsibly, and that we are moving forward. All of us want what's best, and we are learning, and we are trying to move forward.
It's funny that you mentioned that you're learning, and your, position to get appointed to, you spoke highly of training and how you want to be trained. Yet, you, in this meeting, via a public records request, you were able to gain information that you wanted to do an executive session, and you cited the California code, which wasn't accurate.
Okay.
And so, for someone who wants to use the training, yet you've been provided ample opportunities to do the training for your job, you want to, and not any one of the three of you have done that training. What kind of example are you trying to set for the community and for the members here that we're trying to look and better our district, and you guys aren't doing that?
So one of the things, when the training was first brought forward to us, I told Chief Mason that I was available and we could work out a day to do that. work out for whatever reason. We didn't have a majority consensus of those who could participate. They were going to bring somebody here. I have since asked Wendy for the link so that now that there's the COVID retrial, there's a way for me to be able to access that online. I have some time finally to do that, and I actually went to go access that, and I had difficulty because part of it was underscored and part of it wasn't. I was able to figure that out. I sent a message to Wendy tonight asking him to please print out the handout for me, so that is something I am going to do. I mean, you're absolutely right. I do require training. I do require training. I never came into this job saying that I know all there is to know about this at all. I never made that. All I did was give my intent. And from that standpoint, I am going to do that training. And it is my fault, and I admitted that actually in an email that I sent out to Rita, who helped for me to see some of those things, that I did a first research for Oregon ORS laws for executive meetings. And as soon as I put Oregon in, and that came up, and I saw special districts and meetings, I took it as being Oregon, and I should have been here.
How about you? Yes, I mean, if you guys want to do the training or
Absolutely.
people just and now you do exactly.
Yeah, we don't need to get into the explicit math tonight, that's what I was going to want.
No, that's it. I have a statement and I made it, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
now, we have our time in citizens, there's other.
Go ahead, Dan, if you want to talk to it.
So I have another, an email from John Townley, who is unable to, what's that? My name is Cody Johnson, I'm part of the local. I have an email from John Townley, who wasn't able to be here tonight, but he would like me to read it. John Townley?
Oh,
Just a firefighter.
Yep, he's part of the local also, and he asked me to read this in his absence. So, it is with my regret that I must rescind my endorsement for Catherine Menifee. In an email she sent, she referenced on a sentence on the conversation and neglected to mention the rest of the
Hold on,
conversation.
Cody, hold on 1 second. Why is that funny, Todd? Why is that funny?
I have my time, so you should.
have your time on that. Is that a rule?
Cool, I'm just really curious. It's a very serious statement, and yet you chuckle over there.
The community's watching, so they saw you chuckle. They see that you guys are taking this as a joke. Okay, you guys failed to see. Yeah, sure, transparent. If you were transparent, you wouldn't have taken away the locals' opportunity to present stuff in the district's meetings. Anyways, we'll get into that later. So I'm going to finish this. I'm actually just going to start over.
Sorry, Cody.
No, you're fine. Thank you, Chief. It is with regret that I must rescind my endorsement for Catherine Menifee. In an email she sent, she referenced a sentence of conversation and neglected to mention the rest of the conversation. It was stated that the complaints had been made about the maintenance program. However, nothing was mentioned about the fixes she was told that were put into place. I endorsed Catherine because I knew her on a personal level and thought she would be a good choice for a board member. I did this even though several people stated great concern. At this time, I must publicly apologize to everyone and state that I was wrong. John Townley. So, on that, just from a personal perspective, I think you guys are failing to see how much we appreciate this job, this community, and the opportunity that we have to grow as a group. And you guys, specifically the three of you, are trying your best to divide us. It's not appreciated, it's noticed, and we want to do what's best for the community. And it's really unfortunate that you can't see all the support in here and how much we support each other, our chief, our values, and the way we want to see the district move forward into this century. We are years behind the valley and where the fire service is. We need to catch up, and that is what we're working on. And all of this drama that you guys are creating is just taking us back. It's taking us back, and it's not necessary. We don't need the added stress of all the drama that you guys are bringing. So I would appreciate it if you guys would learn the rules and stay out of operations and let us do our job and protect the community that we swore to protect.
So in response to that, I did get a message from John today. And so did say, so I noticed you didn't mention anything about how I told you that Chief talked with Eric and fixed the problems that were brought to him, and I thought that was a conversation just between you and I. At the time when we had that conversation, what he had told me was that they had put on a whiteboard, and that Chief Mason was putting on tasks for Eric, for Lieutenant Newton to be able to do. And he said that happened for a few weeks, and that was my recollection. And then I responded to John. I'm so sorry, I heard you say you put up a whiteboard and you put things on for a couple of weeks and then it fell to the wayside. Completely my bad, so all the issues are addressed now. I will correct myself, which I sent out an email to all the board members saying that John had corrected me and said everything was fixed. And then I also said, I thought you agreed that we should reevaluate the cost benefit of having Eric as a maintenance guy versus hiring another firefighter. Did I misunderstand that as well? He said, yes. I said we will always like more firefighters, but Eric is also a needed asset. I did not recall that last statement. So, from that standpoint, again, I stood corrected. I sent out an email. I'm trying to move forward, and I'm doing the best I can, and I will continue to strive to do better.
Okay, so this is really tough for me. I love this district. Been here 5 years now, 1 year as a volunteer. When I was told about the union not having a voice, not just the union, we're all firefighters here. Every single one of us that are back here in uniform. The volunteers, yes, there's a volunteer association, so there is a slight line. The biggest difference is that volunteerism is not paid. Career is paid. We do this every other day or every 4 days, whatever you want to call it, our full-time schedule. I endorsed you guys. Catherine came to me and asked me, hey, I want your endorsement. I said, absolutely. After we talked, because we had, I want to talk to her about it, because I was kind of skeptical. I told you that in person. And over the past couple meetings, and just getting kind of shit on, I don't feel comfortable endorsing this board anymore. And that's really hard for me, because I respect her and her husband very, very much so. But on a business standpoint, I'm not seeing what should be seen. I talked to Kevin in the past. Me and him, we've been on the same boat. About 3 years ago, he came and asked me how Chief Woodson was, and I kind of was scared to tell him. Okay? Now I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of wanting the best for this district, and it's not happening. I've been looking at applications everywhere else. It's hard for me to think about that. I want you guys to know that. I went and got a part-time job on the reservation in Warren Street. The chief asked me to come back as a captain, higher than I am now as a lieutenant. I told her no, because I want to see this place go through. I'm tired of the drama. I'm tired of misconception of what we are doing and what we are not doing. Which I'm going to back Chief Mason 100%. He's leaded us in such a great, positive way that I respect this man. I don't know if you guys can recall, when the board didn't want to go, or supposedly not go, with Chief Mason, I broke down and cried. I don't cry. I'm not a crier. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, anybody else? Here's Untitled Chapter, Untitled Chapter. 720, Board to drop operating for 1 The first staple group shows all of you on the fire rider system. The first group, or staple group of this, and I'll get this to you, is a search publicly got able on the fire rider system. All of you are there. None of you are in the system. Because none of you have experience, none of you are certified, none of you can run a fire department. The last stapled one is Chief Mason. That is what an experience looks like.
As a taxpayer, I have a question for Todd and Catherine. Something that, when I got lied to as an employer, I would fire over $5 when I was lied to. Todd, you said you found 5 errors on Friday. Okay, yep, you found it on Friday. Catherine, why did you not get a hold of Chief Mason until 4 p.m. Saturday?
My understanding was that Todd was trying to get a hold of him, and Todd was the one that found the station. I stopped by on Saturday because I found grocery shopping in the valley to check to make sure that it was secure. When I saw that it was not, as soon as I got home, I got a hold of Chief Mason and I made a sheriff's report.
So, you both found it then? Is that what you're telling me?
No, Todd had let me know what he had done, but that he was trying to get a hold of Chief Mason.
You assumed that it was broke into, correct? Oh, but you just left it wide open for the district's assets, the taxpayers' assets? You just left open? So which one of you is lying?
No, I'm telling you right now. Because I drove to the Empire State from my house, I could get cell phone. I called down here, and I did not read anybody on the phone.
On the phone system, did you not listen to the voice? You know? What does 9 do? No, 9 goes to non-emergency dispatch, Salem, WBCC.
I called them, and they said,
They would have contacted me directly.
They would have contacted
They
us
would have
directly.
contacted me directly if you'd done that. You didn't do that.
You've been caught in lie. You've been caught in a lie.
I did not lie. I called that number, and I got,
Call 911 if you thought it was broke into. And by the way, you couldn't secure the door?
No, I couldn't. I tried to close it as well as I could.
You want me to show you how hard I closed it? What it took to close that door and secure it?
I don't know. I pulled it shut, sir. I
No.
pulled it shut. I have witnesses there with me. I pulled it shut. I
It
did
was
not
not.
open.
It was wide open when I got there. I got a really good person, put it at there. Got called immediately, and I immediately jumped up there and went up there to secure
Because I had called Chief Mason and told him it was like that. I shut the door as best as I could.
911 should have been called.
I called
If you
the
couldn't get a hold of
sheriff
someone.
and I made a report.
He left it open for 24 hours. He left district and taxpayer assets vulnerable for 24 hours until you found it. Then why didn't you call right away?
Again, I thought Todd was getting a hold of Chief Mason. I stopped by the next day
It's
after.
back down to Mark. I'm done talking. I've proven my point. It's obvious lie.
How about the condition that it was in? I mean, I think we covered that enough.
How about-
Getting better. We're
how about
not
we-
now, for God's sake.
How about we
Leave it
backtrack
alone.
that it's been that way for 20 plus years? You want to
I'm
backtrack
just
that?
saying, it's time to, the people up the river.
Do you know what we've done up there since we started working on that station?
We cleaned it all up, the brush.
No. Before you left it open so you could all access it and check it all for yourselves. Do you know what we did up there? We went up there and we removed those resources, brought them back down here, completely repaired them because they were both out of service, mind you.
I'm sure they were.
One of them
I have
didn't
on
even
station
operate.
that's already certifiable, and we just got them certified, all right, by the insurance company, okay? And now we're spending a bunch of money doing all this BS on a station that is literally an insurance station. That's the reason we put it there. That's the reason why we didn't want to spend money to run power there, all right? Literally, we will never respond out of that ask the chief, all right? And we spent literally an hour and a half out of that meeting talking about that, out of a station that was literally for insurance.
For a station
And
that
literally,
was for
it literally just needs the minimum amount in that station. And we need to talk for an hour and a half about the station.
I mean, bigger fish in the fry? Like, really, guys?
So I think one of the things I just said is that we're trying to move forward. I did say that, and we're not, what we're doing is we're rehashing everything from last time. And
Well, we're rehashing it from last time because you guys did it when there was no one here to support the district. I mean, it's unfortunate the board should be supporting the district, but all you're doing is attacking and bringing it down.
so one of
So now you can show the numbers.
one of the things, again, my statement was, we're trying to do things better. The last meeting got out of hand, definitely, I acknowledge that. Some of the things that they are trying to work towards the district that I don't think is fully acknowledged are things like putting the Ryan group to help us get permits, going and talking to legal resources to make sure about the buying of this voting and local statutes are, checking into the ability to get power at Five Rivers. Those are things and those are proper improvements that they are being worked towards. We are trying to move forward. I would very much like us to have a civil conversation, just like you would like from us. I would like to have from you.
Well, one of the things you could begin with would be an apology to our chief and his staff. They were run through the curve last night, and it was not pretty. It went on, as Kevin says, for an hour and a half.
I believe I said that I was sorry for the way that things turned out in the last meeting.
I think you
I
owe
am-
them a personal apology.
I am not sorry about the questions. I am sorry about the tone and the way that the meeting went. I believe it could have been done more constructively, as I've stated before, and I've stated again. I would like to move forward so we can be productive.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Rick Booth. I live at 405 Range Drive. I'm part of the district. I'm not here tonight as a volunteer, and I'm not here tonight as an elected official for Walport. I'm here as a citizen for the fire district. I can tell you all the things bad that I thought about the video, but that video doesn't mean anything. That video's done and it's gone. I was very upset with all 5 board members because the 2 board members did not speak quick enough. They had an opportunity to stop what was going on and they didn't stop it. And I spoke to them and told them what I felt about that. For the other 3, you can do whatever you want in here. As a board, you get to do that. But individually, you do not. You are only board members. You have no power outside of this room. If you don't believe me, start your training. Second thing, when I look at what a board member, what this board does, it represents me. Me as a community member that lives in this district. That is your job. That is why you got elected, was to represent me, my family, and every representative that lives in this district. Do we want to have another board elected? No, we don't want another board elected. We want one that said that they were going to do what they said they were going to do. Transparency. Everything out in the open. Oh, well, we can't talk to the chief privately, so we're going to read him in public. That doesn't make any sense. You could have talked to him in his office. I know the board members that I know from here that did talk to him in his office. Was I pissed off? Yes, I was. Sorry, I'm a chaplain. I'm not supposed to say pissed off. Well, I'm a former Navy guy, and trust me, I understand how to say those words. What I am mad about is I want to know tonight, what are we going to do tonight? Catherine, you said it. What are we starting tonight moving forward? How is this place going to be better when everybody walks out of this room? How's it going to be better for us? Are we going to work together, or are we going to keep stabbing each other in the back? Are we going to be all part of the community? Everybody that's on that board has to be a community member. It means you're one of my neighbors. You live here like I do. Are we going to live together, or are we going to fight? Because that's all I want to know. I don't care about what has happened, because I always say this, I've been in recovery for 17 years of my life, and everything I did in the past was crap. And I don't want to live yesterday. I want to live today and tomorrow. So I'm hoping that when we get done tonight, that we'll walk out of this room and we'll be living for tomorrow. Because if we're not going to do that, then we need to do something different. And as community members, we get to do something different. That's all I have to say.
Rick?
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things I was going to bring up, and I believe Rita was going to bring up later, but this seems like a perfect opportunity to do that. And as I mentioned earlier, when we are looking at the way things were done before, and we're trying to ensure that those things don't happen again, and we're not as experienced as we would like to be, how do you go about doing that? How do you go about doing that, and how do you go about getting that information, asking those questions, ensuring those things are done? And I think Rita had an excellent idea, and that is coming up with a goal-setting meeting, where we're sitting down and actually coming up with common goals that we can agree on, prioritizing those goals, putting actual timelines on them with action steps, and giving timelines of when we reevaluate where we're at in those goals and having those conversations.
You were
And-
offered that before you took office, you were offered an onboarding workshop that you decided not to. Okay.
I don't believe that I personally decided not to, sir.
I would like to get me off of standing up here because this is not a good place for me. But if that happened, and I know where that tone comes from, because I sat in one of those for several days, and they work great wonders for people that are new. And I would hope that the board would consider sitting in a goal-setting meeting, because that's all we need. We need to know where we're going, because where we came from, it's too bleak there to ever have to go back.
We
And
need
I
to
can
have-
tell years.
We need to have a rudder and we have to have a direction.
Yes,
And
we
I
do.
think that would be a great way to open up some conversations.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you for stealing my thunder.
I said it was your idea. I said it was your idea, didn't I? I did. I totally gave you credit.
Yeah.
I'm Linda Carskadden. I take offense at the fact that the board members are calling this a rehash of last month's meeting. All we're trying to do is get our side on public record. Facebook is not public record. I know you feel like you've been beaten up on Facebook. I didn't see most of what was on Facebook. This is a way for us to get it on public record, as you did last month. We've heard an apology from Catherine. How about the other two?
Yeah, I'm sorry my tongue got riled last meeting, but
Not talking about last meeting.
Yeah, I am.
that's what she just brought up, wasn't it?
Can you apologize to Chief Mason and his staff, please?
I'm sorry my tongue got out of hand, but I guess I've lived in this town all my life. My dad was fireman, my uncles were chiefs. I'm about the community. I'm not about just beating up on people.
Okay.
And I want all of our facilities to be the best they can be, because we're no better than our maintenance program and how we take care of what we got.
Okay, can I just hear the apology, please?
I'm sorry I got out of hand last week.
What about you?
I apologize for getting out of hand, but I don't have any
No,
regret.
no buts. I just want to hear an apology.
I just
To
said,
Chief
I'm
Mason and
sorry
his staff.
for my tone of voice and the way I handled things.
And will you in the future be presenting topics that are not on the agenda?
Will I be doing that?
Well,
I-
that's what you did
That
last
depends
month.
on what's come up. It's like with right now, this is on the agenda.
Right, it's on the agenda.
Called public.
But last month, that was not on the agenda.
Correct. It'll be on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
My name is Zach Aiken. I'm a taxpayer. I live off of Rubble Road. I'm not going to say where, granted. Anyway. So I'll give you a little bit of history. I used to work for the district back in 2016. As I'm sure most of you are aware, we all lost our jobs. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm not here to get angry or mad. I'm saddened. I heard about what's been going on over the last couple of weeks, and it truly makes me sad. My heart is in this station. Put a lot of time, I put a lot of effort into this place, and then that was abruptly cut off with a 24-hour notice that I had lost my job, lost my health insurance, and I had just purchased a house in this community. With that being said, my heart's still here, my heart's still in the fire service. I chose a different profession and a different career path, but I'm still here. I want to see this place grow. I see it day in and day out where nothing is solved by pointing fingers, nothing is solved by yelling at each other. We all have those feelings, we can all be upset, and those feelings are completely validated and are totally okay. There is a time and a place to vent those feelings, but at some point we do have to move forward. We're a community. The nation's faced with one of the biggest crises we've had in a very long time. Fighting each other is not going to solve the problem. Yelling at each other is not going to solve the problem. I just want to see the board, I want to see the union, and I want to see Ed and all go home. I think we all have the same goal, we all have the same objective, is the roadmap on how to get there. What's happened has happened, it's all in the past, but I think as a community, we are all capable of moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary.
That's all I have to say.
And Zach, I just want to say that one of the things that happened to you is something that we want to ensure doesn't happen again.
No, wait. I admit, I got, I'm going to say I was too passionate, and I acted live out of line. Well, you may not believe it, but I'm here because I want to see this place be the best it can be, because I've been living in this community all my life, and it's important to me. I want this fire district to be the best it can be. And I guess when I see a facility the way it was, it kind of upset me, and I'm not blaming nobody. It just bothers me to see it like that, you know, and I guess maybe I was pointing my finger at Jamie too much. And I know he hasn't been here that long, but I am truly here to help this district be the best it can be. And I know Fireburgers is just a place for just an insurance reason, but the people upriver don't see it that way. I've heard a lot of comments about it going by and talking about it, and a lot of different people. And I just want everything we have to show the same pride as what this station has. You know, that's all. That's what I'm talking about. I want this to be the best it can be. And I'm in a big, huge learning curve here too, trust me. Trust me. I got out of line, I admit it. Okay, I was hoping just to move on tonight myself, but everybody's got to say what they had to say. I've listened to what everybody had to say, and I guess we're not all done yet. And I'm ready just to move on. So, okay, go ahead.
I'm also ready to move on, so I'll go ahead and start out. First of all, my name is Josiah Bucher. I'm the Vice President for Local 4619 of the Central Coast and Seal Rock Professional Firefighters, which is a part of the Newport Professional Firefighters and other departments up and down the Oregon coast. I carry with me tonight the values and traditions of hundreds of thousands of firefighters in the Union all across the world. All over the world. First things first, you guys have taken a lot tonight. I just, for 1 second, want to say thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. You don't get paid to do this. We appreciate the fact that you take time out of your busy life to sit on the board and help this district move forward. So thank you for that. I do want to point out one thing, and it's the only thing that could be construed as any part of whatever this is. I just want to know, Ms. Rita, Mr. Kevin, were either of you aware that the union was to be taken off of the agenda?
Not until I heard it in an email
Okay.
later on.
So it was after the fact?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I needed to know. Respectfully, this district is a multifaceted district. We have you guys as our board to oversee policy and to make sure that the district operates fiscally responsibly. We have the administration staff. They're the ones making sure that us firefighters are trained, that we're operating safely, and that we follow our guidelines to ultimately serve our community. These are the people that pay my paycheck. And then you have the firefighters, be it career or volunteer. I did notice that the volunteer firefighters still have a spot at the proverbial table. And all I want to say is, in order for the district to work together, each facet needs to work well and communicate well. You will not find any pushback from a single union member about wanting to make this district better. You will not find a single volunteer who says, nope, I don't want this district better. We all want to move forward, and we want to do it together, professionally. Therefore, I respectfully request, on behalf of Local 4619, that the union reconsider and let the union have a voice and a seat at the table. Thank you.
Can I ask you something, Shai?
Yes.
Thank you. So one of the things I think would be helpful to clarify is generally, just like in the military, there are steps that people go through, hierarchies, if you will, to get information done, to get concerns or questions done. My understanding, and please educate me if I'm wrong, is that the hierarchy is if there's an issue, a concern, a problem, a good thing, a recognized thing, that the firefighters and the union members bring that to the chief. Is that correct?
If I myself, as Lieutenant Booker, had an issue that needed to be addressed by the board, I would follow my chain of command, speak with my chief, who would then bring it to you as a board issue. And then you would advise the chief would come back to me. That's how this is designed. We operate as an hourglass.
Right.
With the board at the top, who oversees policy and budget, who hires a chief. That's your one employee who is there to oversee operations and the day-to-day everything that happens at the fire district.
So if the union, if a firefighter had a grievance or an issue or a request
Yes.
that they felt was not being met, they would take it to their union, correct? Their union director, president, right?
Yes, if there was a. if there
They
was
take
a
it to
union
Andy,
issue,
correct?
Which would be contractual, that
Right.
would come through the union to the board.
Right. So maybe what would be helpful for us to know now, I just want to have that clarified. What is your goal and what is your purpose and what are you hopeful to obtain by having that seat during the board meetings?
We want to be heard as well as the admin staff and as well as the volunteers, as the union, because the union as a local is separate, it's a separate entity. So like tonight, you'll notice I'm not in uniform, I'm wearing union shirt tonight, so that I can be distinguished from being Central Coast Lieutenant Booker to being, VP of Walport Central Coast Steel Rock.
I appreciate that.
I personally think it would be good to have the union on there, just speaking from history of what kind of unfolded with Woodson. I was pretty surprised. I talked to even Joe, like he specifically said, and the response I got was kind of like, well, there's improvements to have, but overall, he's a really nice guy. I'm like, okay, well, we must be doing pretty good on the union side, because at the time you were the union rep. So I think as far as holding Chief Mason accountable in a session of like having them at the table, I feel would be constructive in a fashion that we were approached by a few different people, but it was individual people. Melissa Simon was one. But they were individual people at the time. Until we were blindsided, we were kind of blindsided by a letter stating all the things that was unfolding. A lot of us had no clue that kind of stuff was unfolding. And I feel like if the union has a seat at the table, maybe before, as a board, we were blindsided by such things, we would be able to hopefully hear about that. I don't know, just a thought.
That is literally the point that they were added to fix what happened.
It's in the interest of moving forward and working together professionally and for the greater good and for our community that we serve.
They were also added just to update you on what the paid staff's doing. Because firefighters were like, when Rick gives a volunteer report, he gives you an update on, do we have any volunteers? What are the volunteers doing? The union report is a way for the paid staff, or paid firefighters, to give you an update on things that they've been doing. It's another form of communication without going through a single person all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're still on citizen participation. Anybody else? Okay. We'll move on to staff presentations then.
All right. So for the month of September, we ran 12 fires, 88 medical calls, 10 vehicle crashes, 4 water rescues, 11 lift assists, and 1 other public assist, for a total of 126 calls. Still not our highest month. The highest month still holds at 128 calls in March. I don't know what was significant about March, it just happened to have the double extra right now. But we've been right up over 100 calls a month. We're right now, based off the trend, we're going to surpass where we were last year. And last year for us was almost a 40% increase in call volume. And we're going to go higher this year. So far for October, we've ran 7 fires, 42 medicals, 5 vehicle accidents, no water rescues, 6 lift assists, and 1 other public assist for calls. Some days we run 2. There's really no way to put a finger on it, but we're running a lot of calls. So far for this year, we've ran 1,022 calls so far. Not going to usually call 7, but it's training. Training was a little bit lower. We had some projects with some changes over at Cell Rock. But our total annual hours so far this year is 2,279 hours of training completed. Our academy started on October 5th. I'll talk more about that in my report. And then the total hours for the month of September was 176 hours training. So, maintenance, Eric took the night off, as you can see, since he's in civilian clothes and he's in civilian. But he did send out a a pretty comprehensive report. Does anybody have any questions on his report? I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those on his own time. He did.
I was glad to see all the pump testing being done, so it was great to see that everything got passed. I did review all of that, thank you.
The things I want to point out is that we have put the base stations around all 3 stations.
Oh, I meant to say that too.
We did go out by river and pull all the trash out of the station and not really trash, but objects that aren't being used anymore, which are those wall props. That was where I think a lot of the pests were making beds out of that material that was in those props. So we removed all of the non-essential items out of that station, emptied out all the trashes, the new trash bags in there. The fill station that we put on surplus sold on gut deal, so it is going away. And I personally went up there with Eric and cleaned out all the gutters, scratched my hand up a lot, but got all the gutters cleaned out. And Eric has done the initial pressure wash of the entire inside of the station and cleaned off the ramp. We are going back up to do a second pressure wash now that all the big items are out of there, so we can do corner to corner. And we're going to go and pressure wash the exterior of the building to keep up on the maintenance.
Awesome.
Eric is also going up there weekly to just do a quick check on it, as well as Bob. Bob's been volunteering his time to go up and check and run the engine.
Who is Bob? I hear the Bob.
Bob right there, it's right there.
Oh, okay, hello.
Yeah, so Bob goes up there and checks the engine, runs them for a little bit, make sure they get exercised, and then puts them back away. When we went up to do pressure washing, the engine had an air problem with the transfer valve. It was transferring into pump. It could have caught fire, but it was blowing air the whole time. We brought True North back out because they just done the pump testing, and it passed all pump testing. It shouldn't have had anything wrong with it. And he found a broken O-ring that burst off the transfer valve and replaced it. And it was done in about 15 minutes. So it's back in full service again. I do not consider that station as a invaluable asset to the district. I understand that it is there to ensure that we maintain an ISO rating for our public. I get that. 5 miles of that station. I am realistic about that station. Currently, there are no volunteers out there. I can go into my office right now and I can pull up in this room and I can pull up a report for the last year and a half since I stepped foot in this district and show not a single vehicle has rolled out of that station in that entire time. It's unfortunate. It's sad. But it's the reality of the situation. There are no volunteers up there. The only way a vehicle is going to leave that station right now is if we specifically send somebody up there to go get one of the vehicles. That station was in disrepair, and that is on me as the fire chief ultimately. And I took responsibility for that last month's meeting.
No, I know, you did.
However, that station was worse than that. We have done work up there. We did pull the trucks out of there, completely decon them, because they needed to be deconned, not cleaned.
Decon, yeah.
And then rotated them to stations where they could be better, properly maintained for the time being until we could do more up there. You didn't know that. You could say that's on me too, that you didn't know that. You also didn't ask me that. I agree with some statements that were said tonight, that moving forward, we have to work together.
Right.
I'm all about that. I don't know why there's a feeling that nobody can come talk to me in my office. Everything that's been brought to my attention has been corrected as quickly as we possibly can. I don't think there is one thing that this board has asked me that I have not provided a result on. It may not have happened right away, as you recently claimed, but it has happened. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot to be done. I forecasted 3 years to get this district back on track with certifications, training, and just operations and business. 3 years. Not tomorrow, not in 6 months. 3 years. There's a lot to be done here. We have a great team. And I'm going to just agree, it feels like there's some parking going on with employees in this district. I don't know why.
I see everybody come in here and work, and I have to get after them for putting in too many hours. You don't see that. You're here 2-3 hours a month. You don't see every day in and out. You drive by Tyler, that's great, I understand that. You drive by it twice a day, it doesn't mean he's not out there just because you don't see him. I see what's going on, I track his hours, I track his progress, his projects. He bends over backwards for this district. I don't know what the focus is. I'm not sure you can. So we're all here trying to make this place better. I've dedicated myself to come in here and fix this place. I don't have to be here. Look at my credentials. I have a degree, and I have more certificates than most people in the state. I can go do that somewhere else, but I want to be here, and I came down here to make this place better. And I am trying day in and day out alongside all my staff who are trying to make this place better, given what we've recently gone through. If you want to be here, outstanding. Team up with us, help us. You've given us some good ideas. I'm not going to sit here and try to say that you've brought nothing to this but drama and discontent. The concepts you brought with CPI, the concepts you brought with reaching out and certain grants have been extremely beneficial to this district. And we've jumped on board and said, okay, we'll help find them out. We'll help figure it out. I do not understand why we get this return with discontent. I cannot understand that. I have some ideas, but I don't fully know. So that's my piece on this. I want to be here. I want to help. I want to work with you. You come into my office and tell me something needs to be done, there'll be a plan to get it done. But it doesn't work if you don't come in and tell me you just want to unleash it in the middle of a public meeting that's supposed to be a business meeting where we talk about business. So, thank you. You have anything to report?
We just have the policy stuff.
So there's been some corrections in the policy that we handed you. I've also been tracking Catherine's conversations with Monica through HR Solutions.
Let me try, I included you in all of those.
Yep, I've been watching, and unfortunately Monica has not provided us with the specific language we're going to need to put in there, so that one is going to have to stay tabled until she provides us with what needs to be said. I'm not going to say I disagree with anything. It has to be very specific to make sure we don't put the district in the...
I completely agree.
Yeah, I think it's super important to address.
Pardon?
Everyone, I think it's super important to address that.
Right.
I mean, I think we don't want, we want to make sure we get the right language in there. Obviously, the community doesn't want firefighters running around high all the time.
No. I did have, oh, I'm sorry.
I do want to point out that I was made aware of a post where somebody tried to basically say that I was trying to push a policy to allow firefighters to smoke marijuana.
I'm not saying that. I'm absolutely not. I did not post that, and I'm not saying that.
Do I really need to clarify that that's not?
No,
all the policy says?
No, I don't think any of us said that.
That's no way to put one, I think, because I'm not really sure. I don't think anywhere in the policy, even the draft version, it says anything about allowing firefighters to use marijuana.
I don't think any of us said that.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's
Okay.
someone else did.
Okay. I did have a couple of questions on it, Wendy, that I wrote down. I know we have to table it, but just so that we can look at it, and I just want some clarification regarding the thought process behind it. And that is on, let me see. So on when you're talking about drug testing after a potential accident, injury, or such, in the wording, it says may require testing. Why would we say may versus will require testing?
We should change that to will.
Thank you.
It should say must, actually.
Yes, thank you.
Especially in the policy for legal reasons.
Right.
It should say must, and so make sure you capture that.
So what's really helpful for me
Is if I give you the numbers and the pages.
either the page number or the policy number and the subsection.
Absolutely.
It's
but I'll apply it.
And on the,
Oh,
Because I
it's,
know
it's
what
under,
you're
it's,
talking
it's on page 101, item 3, post-accident testing, and it says may be required.
Yeah, it should be switched to
Must,
be
yeah.
required.
and then on the, like intermittent testing we were talking about, like, is there a plan that we have to put in place in the policy to say we'll do it every 6 months to make sure we can avoid discrimination issues as
I
far
don't want
as?
to speak out of turn, but I think that's something we're waiting on Monica to clarify.
Is that
I
one of
believe
the
so.
things? Okay,
That's one of
cool.
the things.
You know, like a random.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, because then if you're just like, oh, we're gonna test
Yeah, 'cause
Joe this
then-
month, and it's like, well, why me?
yeah, it looks like you could be signaling somebody out, in other
Or
words.
even if it's just like every 6 months we test everybody, or
Right,
whatever, right?
right.
Or,
I really want her to provide us with that guidance to make sure that whatever we put in there is backed by our.
Oh,
Yeah.
completely agree with that. The second question along with that same thing would be, again, under testing pre-employment, it says may be required for drug testing versus will be required.
That should also be changed to will be required.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We're on the same page.
What was your, well, you come from the North Lincoln, what was their drug testing policy? What did they have, you remember?
Simply, if you had an incident, you had to go get tested. If you were hired, you had to go get tested.
And was there a random also?
No.
You didn't have a random?
There was a suspicion, if you had suspicion because of behavior,
Okay. Well, I know when I was in working, we were always on a random plan.
Yeah, in the military, you're on a random.
Well,
Yeah, we need to
running
make,
equipment, same difference. Yeah, you're on a random.
well, we need to make sure, that, you know, legislation hasn't changed in
Right.
recent years. Because, you know, I guess my take on that is I am all for, you know, reasonable suspicion.
Right.
I'm all for post-incident. I'm not for random drug testing, because I feel that it kind of makes it look like you're guilty until proven innocent. You know, I mean, when you implement a policy like that, it seems to me that it's more reasonable to have an expectation when you're hired, to have an expectation when somebody shows up that is obviously impaired or whatever, or, you know, like I said, post-incident. But to simply implement a random drug testing is expensive, especially if you're testing for marijuana, because, I mean, those tests are like $100 a pop.
But that would be the same thing regardless of whether you're, just coming even from when I was doing primary care and I was dealing with people who had chronic pain contracts, and we did random testing with them. I know that's different than this. But marijuana falls on that same test. I mean, if you're doing random tests, it's not like marijuana's an extra one on that. It's all inclusive of all of the, you know, barbiturates, opiates, you know, and marijuana. It's all in one thing.
I think we'll have to check into it, but, since it's not legal federally, like with Old Dominion where I retired from, thing is from the CEO to the forklift driver, everybody's ready.
Right,
Myself
right.
multiple times.
But I do think we need to make sure that, I believe that there have been some successful lawsuits brought against random drug testing. So we
We'll
need
take
to
a
make
look
sure
at that for sure.
Yeah, we'll need to make sure.
my
that
big
it's
problem with
legal
like
federally.
the suspicion one is like, you know, we're in such a world where discrimination is thrown out very quickly. And so even if like you suspect, I mean, how do you do, like, how do you say I suspect, right? I mean, I don't know, I'm not a drug expert, I'm
Well,
not
I
a
think
cop,
you
I
would
didn't
be-
have training, right? And like, so like, if I said that to one of my employees, like, obviously they would have grounds to be like, well, why me, right? Like,
Why are you picking on me?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you obviously would be looking for from a medical standpoint, it would be an altered in speech, in behavior, in movement, in thought processes, any of those types of things that are different than their norm.
Yeah.
Again, that's subjective or objective. And so if so somebody obviously, I mean, they could say, you're saying I'm acting different even though I'm not. Hopefully you would think that in a department, there would be more than one person noticing that different behavior.
Yeah.
And also, if you're doing it in the spirit of correcting the problem, it's not necessarily a
It's not necessarily
termination
punitive.
action
No, you
to
might
make
get a
them
grace
take,
period,
you know, drug treatment, I mean, you
Yeah.
know, offering drug treatment or counseling or whatever.
Right.
So it's not a, it's
And
not
that
an
says that
end
in
of
the
world
policy.
kind of thing.
That says that in the policy as
Yeah.
well, that, you know,
Right.
that we're offering for people to come
Right.
forward, and we do want to help, and,
Right.
you
Yeah, I
know,
don't think
and,
it's cut and dry
and,
and gets done. I think
Right.
there needs to be a, however you would word it.
So let's wait and see what you.
oh,
can
and we
do.
definitely are, I just want to bring up those few words, and thank you.
I think if we get halfway to the next board meeting and I don't see anything, or you don't see anything, maybe we should reach back out to her and say, hey, we're just kind of checking in, making sure we're still on her.
Yeah, on your agenda.
Right.
And
if you guys do get something, if you forward it to me, I can make sure that it gets in there.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely.
So that when we do come back to it, we just have it all ready to go.
Right.
So I will set that one aside.
But please make those corrections.
Yeah, absolutely. I got my little tabs.
Thank you.
On the one I gave you last month, 9.6 to 9.10, the last one correction I did want to point out that we took out, that actually Dan helped point out. On page 114, policy 9.10, that very first top section, the last paragraph, we took out the beginning of the last sentence. So where it says upon completion of shift, the volunteer, we took out upon completion of shift and left it just starting with the volunteer.
Okay.
It made more sense and flowed a little better.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if anybody had any other on that one.
I don't think I did.
I don't think
This
so.
one was a pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's actually ready to be approved if you guys don't have any other corrections.
All right. Chief Mason, just for my, again, my own education, and I know this was part of a contract that was negotiated prior to any of us coming on. Did you choose to have the $400 a month stipend versus a district car?
No, I don't even recall that being an option.
Okay, I'm just always so used to every time that I've ever been involved around fire departments that a chief always has a vehicle from the fire department there, because then if, you know, a big issue comes up, they don't have to come by here and get something, they can just leave from their home.
Yeah, that's why I take it from home every night.
So policy 9.7 comes from SBA Road.
Uh-huh.
So it's part of their template policy, it's like that's in there. We can take it out if we don't feel like it needs to be in there.
I mean, right now, there's a vehicle assigned to me, so I don't think there's a need to do the other option.
Okay, all right, well,
The thing is as far as from what I know, and anybody can correct me if they want to, but the thing is I had a company car for years, and the thing is, that's part of your benefits package. You know what, I mean, you, Kirsty, you're not gonna wanna go to family wedding or fire, but you don't have kids now, you do have that at-will use of.
I don't take it anywhere personally unless I'm like on my way home from the district.
Sure.
well, yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So I guess that's what my question is if we're not utilizing that part of the policy, and that is not actually, you know, in action at the moment, and you have a company car, then it seems to me that that should be taken out.
Yes, good, good. All right,
Thank you.
no problem.
That would be my only correction or my only thought, and other than that, I would be fine to motion to approve it.
I can take it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't mind me.
So the
Putting words
one-
in your mouth.
The last one, it's like a little.
It's like 400 pages.
Take that puzzle.
I know, I like fell asleep 3 times.
It actually was bigger. It had a bunch of stuff regarding the ambulance that we no longer needed. So I did actually take a lot out. This is the last of it. That's why it's a little thicker. Thought if we could just push through and get done, we're done with it. There is a couple things though that I want you guys to just keep in mind when you're going through it. On page 118, under safety committee policies, and under number 5, it talks about the meetings being held on the third Thursday, it's actually, or the third Monday. It's actually the last Monday of the month, because we do it right before the association meeting. There was a couple other small corrections. One of them is under policy 12.14 and controlled substances. Then I'm gonna actually get together with Joe because I believe we don't even carry these ones anymore, so we will update it with what we do carry.
What does it say again?
Morphine, fentanyl, and percent.
Where's the section of working with
Okay.
Oh, and I did have a question on this one, and it had to do with policy 12.15.
12 point what?
12.15 on page 140.
Okay.
On page 140,
Uh-huh.
God, we're all old and bad.
Yeah.
And I do have a correction on that one as well.
Okay.
I think that's what we talked about.
Is the correction that, right now it says the medications will be destroyed by emptying the contents into a drain?
That is the correction.
Okay, so that's not our, that's not our process,
No.
right?
Not supposed to use a drain, right?
So Chief and I changed it, or it will actually state that they are destroyed by contents being emptied into the station medical bio bin.
Okay, good.
So,
Didn't
yeah,
really want that stuff
was
going into
already
Elsie Bay, you know?
No doubt, got enough problems there.
I think the other ones were more just punctuation for my own.
Yeah, the very last one was the very last sentence was the one that I wanted you to take the comma
But those are the ones that I
out of.
wanted you to keep in mind as you're going through it for next month. Okay, thank you. And then we'll be done with policy.
Yay.
Well, as soon as we get the word.
Medical one.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be nice, huh?
So Buster, I will just have one change for you to sign and send.
Oh, wait, I know I already accepted this one, I just wanted a clarification. So on one of the things in the policy performance one is that we had in 9.1.3, number B, number 2, it seemed like just that part was redundant. Because you already say that you're gonna give an employee give them the form to do a self-evaluation. And then it brings up again to give them another piece of paper to do another kind of self-evaluation. So I wasn't quite sure what that was when we've already stated that.
So just remove the second part?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And the only other thing was, just the kind of update on the website is just, we had 15,450 page views in September. We were sitting at about 6,000 when I looked earlier today for October. And that was it.
Take care of the presentations pretty much? Okay. We've got a volunteer report?
I'll just touch on the academy unless you have something else, Rick.
Yep. Academy's all my
Academy's up and running, we host it, so majority of the classes are here. We do partner with Newport, so there are some classes up there. So far, we've got 11 students, actually 12 students now. We just picked up one the other day. 5 students for Central Coast, 5 for Newport, 1 for Seal Rock, and 1 for Eagle Mountains. So we're running at 12 right now. I've really taken a step back from the academy to allow the officers who have all completed their Instructor 1 to take a step forward with the teaching. So I'm trying to stay out of the way so that they can, really take a hold of the reins on the academy and go from there. So far, I haven't heard anything bad. Good. So, no news could be good news, I guess. I don't know. But we're only about we're about to be 3 weeks in from up, so we're going to start getting on into hands-on in the next couple of weeks. PPE is going to be an issue. We're going to need to, or I'm going to need to figure that out. And it's going to be an issue because if I was to order PPE today, it's right now based off of the materials and everything, it's running 5 to 6 months here. And some of the training that they need to do, they need to have PPE on. So we're going to have to look at that and go forward with that. But we just don't, we have a lot of stuff in supply. We have training gear that's expired that we can use for most of the academy until we get to the low fire section.
but we have some people that we don't have sites as well. So we're about to go.
Do we have any options to look at? I mean, can we
I
borrow
have
stuff
lots of
or?
contacts that I can go try and borrow, that's gonna be my first approach,
Mhm.
and then, try to go from there.
How much money are we talking if we want to buy something like that?
God, was
If
it
it's
thousands
a-
of dollars per one?
If it's an entry person, you're looking at around $1,500. If it's a non-entry person, you're looking at about $700. So,
And that's just for the turnouts, that's not for boots and everything else, correct?
that's, the turnout, if you add boots in, that goes up another $300. And we have lots of helmets, we may need to up our gloves a little bit, we should still have some gloves. But the bulk of it is the turnout, so that's the big cost.
All right.
Any questions about the academy at all?
PPE seems to be the main question.
Oh, when are you gonna be able to do your live fire, or where are you gonna be able to do that?
We have a couple options coming up. Newport may have a structure, so we might actually get to do a really good live fire. Newport has a burn ring that we typically use annually to do our live fire. We have one person from last year's academy that still needs to get their checkout done because COVID put a shutdown to that.
I just wasn't quite sure if Newport had, started doing their tower again.
Yeah, we're really trying to get into the structure. It gives us so much better training.
Absolutely.
The
Structure,
real
actually,
fire
the
behavior, versus,
Absolutely.
you know, gas, just someone turning the valve off to do the right thing. Yeah. Worst case scenario, if we really have to, all I have to do is make a phone call to USST. The problem with that is I have to take them all the way over to USST.
Mhm.
And if I can't do that, then I can call over to Shemeca and talk to them over there and schedule something there. That's even further.
Mhm.
The best case is getting the structure. The next best case is using Newport's room. So, I did have the trailer scheduled to come in, and it was going to be here for 2 weeks. DPSST lost a coordinator. He moved to another job, and since then we've gotten nothing from DPSST. It's something that really needs to be addressed at a county level again. So it's not just impacting us here as it goes, it's really for everyone. So.
Thank you.
Say, you're up, huh? Yeah. Cash on hand at the end of $7.55, which is, and of that, net of the reserves, $185,477.29. So we'll make it through to the November.
With good reserves. So with good reserves, that's awesome.
Yeah, the reserves are fine, we're gonna eat them up eventually with the building renovation. Tidewater renovation, from the beginning, $103,521. So we're well under what the board anticipated.
How close are we to completion, and how much more?
I have started the paint prep on before all in the truck, so we don't have really, there's gonna be little things here and there, but major lumber costs, all that's done. I have everything up there, including my kind of the paint. Things like gutters, that's gonna be a cost. But before prices went through the ceiling, which was just me wanting to have stuff there, not necessarily foreseeing anything, honestly. I ordered the whole truck, basically, of lumber, so that everything was up there. I only miscounted the plywood by 4 sheets. All the siding's now on the wasn't supposed to be such a big project, and when I said, yeah, I'd do it, I said it'd be done in December last year. It turned out to be, and it started out honestly just to be a dry rock repair. That's what I went in there to do. It turned into an entire station rebuild. And as Bob likes to say, it's basically 1.5 people doing it. So. Bob's been a great help. I hate painting. I'm gonna do the big bulk stuff, you know, as far as the spray gun, but he's been just going to town with a roller, and he's got, all the trim painting is actually all done for the most part inside. It's been sitting inside, so it'll just be a one big, kind of a deeper red at first, until the trim starts to go up, and then you'll see the butt boards go up, and it's just as they go up, besides going back and touching up nail heads and caulking and whatnot, all of that it'll be black and red when it's all said and done, and then the base will be gray. I would have liked to do a culture stone, put a nice stone underneath, and maybe someday in the future we can budget for that. But right now, it'll just be, I'm just gonna paint that lower section either a black or a gray. Well, I wanted to wait to decide on that until the rest of the building was selected for aesthetics reasons, but.
You think we're gonna make this December?
I'm gonna try real hard to have the outside all buttoned up. The inside, the only thing I have, the inside, the only thing that needs to be purchased. The electrician is all signed off for covered. There's some framing stuff that needs to be happened to get the framing inspection, which is very minor. Some through bolts that need to go in from the top plate to the foundation, some fire blocking and that kind of stuff. But then it's just insulation and drywall, which those aren't very big costs, honestly. So those are the only two things I don't have.
So we're probably looking at 110,000 total, probably.
Yeah, just off the top of my head, I'm guessing that. But
And your
I'm
ETA for
watching
being done again?
Huh?
Your ETA for being done again?
I'll try for December, no promises, so let's shoot for January. Last year, December was really nice, so I was able to really, but I was stuck down here rebuilding an engine. I would have liked to have started it then. So yeah, we'll try for December, January to have it done. I'd like to have an open house on a nice day, invite some residents up there to come see it. I'm pretty proud of it. It's been a lot of, honestly, Chief Mason's left it up to my design and look, so I'm pretty proud of it. So I'd really like to show it off, and I really want it to get it done. So Paul wants it done. He's really looking forward to being out there. So, because he'll be responding on it, so.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to point out that Bob's been up there a lot, helping Eric, and all on his time. He does a volunteer, painting boards, helping Eric put up siding, anything and everything that needs to be done, just all out of the fact that it's his station and the rest of us are volunteers. So I really want people to know that I appreciate Bob going up there.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
He's also a safety factor, so that there's somebody else up there.
That's-
falls off the line.
He's Eric Ball, Bob.
It's also a good safety factor.
So, yeah, I was gonna say,
Sorry. Moving right along. Personnel services, end of September, $136,488.02. We budgeted $650,570.19, so we're at about 22.17%. So about, not quite 3% under, pretty close. So we should come in under for the year, I would think. A positive, workers' compensation insurance, we actually got a refund.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Chief Mason has something to do with that.
There was some numbers that needed to be fixed.
Yeah, we got back $3,168.73 for the prior fiscal year, and haven't seen a billing for this year yet, so I don't know what to expect there. Vehicle fuel still trending high. I don't think we really have a choice, the way that fuel is going. We're up 44.25% over last year, and I think there's increased movement of the vehicles this year probably, so that would have something, a little bit to do with it. But If we get down the road a little ways, I'll do a resolution. We can move some money a little bit, once we see how things are gonna settle out. Material and services. Legal services, $3,430.40. Last year we had $1,179.77, but we've got renewed some activity regarding buildings and things like that, so that's what we expect. Vehicle repairs, $9,700.37. Last year we spent, through the end of September, $15,859.70. So hopefully we're catching up a little bit on all that. And dispatch service, the first quarter of this year, 3 months through September 30th, $5,320.49. Last year we had, the cost was $12,430.10 for the first quarter. So that's a tremendous difference. And that has to do, I believe, with mostly with 911 tax kicking in. Correct. And that's all I have.
Well, thank you for that.
So I move to accept the financial report and move to pay the bills.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Brett.
Yep.
Anybody have any correspondence?
We actually do, for what I forgot last month, so I apologize. So, we were given, and a lot of places were along the coast, were given a glass float. And I'll read you the letter, and the glass float is actually sitting on the top of my bookshelf out of reach of firefighters breaking it. If anybody wants to see it, it's actually really kind of cool. I'm going to pull it back up so you can get a little bit better on this one. So it says, Dear Central Oregon Coast Fire and Rescue, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for coming to the rescue when the Echo Mountain Complex fire raced through Otis and up to the very edge of Lincoln City, only to be stopped by the valiant efforts of your crew. We owe you, your citizens' homes, our businesses. We owe you our citizens' homes, our businesses, our livelihood. You and all the other first responders who answered our call for help averted oncoming disaster. As we approach the 1-year anniversary of the wildfire, please accept a token of our appreciation, one of our signature glass floats. It isn't just a float though. Designed by Kelly Howard, one of our premier glass artists, it contains something special. It has ashes from the Echo Mountain Fire Complex embedded in the glass. We hope it will serve as a reminder of your department's dedication, professionalism, and prompt response in our time of need. We would like to ask one favor though, if you can please send us a picture of your crew with the float. It will help us celebrate what you have accomplished here. We do still need to take the picture and send it to them, but we are going to frame the letter and put it in with the float itself too.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Just so you know, and I may have said it before, if I did, if I have, I apologize, but we did participate in 5 days worth of operational period in Echo Mountain. Myself and Shai and Derek, on the first day, were up there for the first 24 hours, the county got involved in leading alongside 43 other resources, what ended up holding the fire
Yeah, we could throw an executive session for property acquisition, probably next meeting would probably be good, so we can
Yep.
discuss. I
Start
guess we
talking
have-
about the acquisition.
Yeah, because, we can do that in executive so that we, not the city
Yeah,
would hear in
it's
theory,
time,
so.
yeah, we should hear from that lawyer by then, so then we.
Certainly hope so.
Well, and if not, we could always remove the executive session, but for now, put it in so it's on notice.
Oh, speaking, we're not gonna have an executive session tonight either, that needs to be stricken. But you're right, we need to, it's getting close to that time, we need to deal with that. All right. What do we have for new business?
I have nothing.
We wanna talk about protest?
This is my report.
Is that your report? Okay, all right. Well, then we'll move on to that.
Okay. So McKinsey Group, we have a meeting with them tomorrow. Kathy said that she hopes to have the cost estimates started to come in soon. So we'll start to know what that's gonna take for future reference. Fire season has been closed.
Yay.
So everybody's back to tree burning, recreational fires, permits are back up and running, and so everything, our burn complaints have been pretty minimal, so that's good. So everything seems to be good. The ambulance, so I wrote a justification letter to FEMA. FEMA responded back to me, I think within a week and a half roughly, and they have approved us to move forward with leasing vehicles between us and Pac West.
Oh, good, okay.
Congratulations. They said that as long as we maintain ownership over the ambulance, which we will, until the completion of the grant, we are allowed to lease it out to Pac West in exchange for them leasing us vehicles.
Make it happen, then.
So if Jeff wants to talk about that at all, he's actively looking into the rescue right now. And the Tahoe that we had targeted sold unfortunately, so we are trying to find another one. Hopefully we'll find one soon. And so hopefully before too long, we'll have a rescue available for our rescue calls, especially technical rescue. And a command vehicle that we can be able to rotate the older pickup out of vehicle. ISO, I talked to Dave just the other day, trying to see if we were going to get our results soon. He says we should be getting it any time. I filled out a survey for the evaluation, so that usually is something that's coming. I don't know why it's taking so long, but hopefully I'll have it soon. As soon as we do, we'll immediately make announcements so that people can start contacting their insurance if they're concluding.
Is there any way to hurry that up? It's been 2 months, right?
Since the end
Yeah,
of June.
yeah, Still Rock hasn't gotten there either, so it's not just us.
Huh.
I'm not
You
sure.
think probably employment shortage probably issue?
Maybe.
Guess we blame it on COVID, right?
COVID, yeah, like.
Everything's COVID's fault.
Still looking into National Rescue Relief Act with state and county levels. Ryan Group, I have the agreement. I put it should be in all your packets. Lester, it's ready for you to sign if the board approves and votes on it. There's a couple things I just want to point out real quick in this agreement, and it has to do with their cost percentages. I want to make sure that the board is aware that if they go out and secure by writing grants on our behalf and obtaining grants, they have a 25% fee on there.
25.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I've seen 10% before, I've never seen 25%.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that big.
Yeah, that's one of my concerns, and I had.
The new market tax incentives program that they were talking to us about, they originally said 6%, and in the agreement they put 4%, so that went down a little bit. So I'm not sure why the grant is so high, but I think that their target is to do the new market tax credits anyway. I think that's what they were really trying to sell us on when we had that meeting with them. So I really wanted to make sure that was pointed out to you before you put pen and paper on this and voted on it.
Is there a way to negotiate that 25%?
I can ask. At this point, I'm waiting for direction from you guys. So.
I guess one of the things I would request is, it never hurts to ask, right? Instead of just accepting. So that would be my input, is seeing if we can negotiate that 25% down a bit.
Okay. Does anybody want to help you with that? Or?
Kevin?
I don't negotiate well.
You don't negotiate.
I'm a baker, we just have set prices. I don't know.
Yeah, you're just a baker. It's just what it says on the market.
This was something you brought. You want to help me with that? Sure. I'll do it. Okay. All
Yeah, I'm surprised it was that high. I didn't think it was.
Can we just set up a time, you come in with me and we'll call them on the phone and talk to
Absolutely.
them?
Don't hurt to ask.
Okay.
Remember, the sale doesn't start until they say no.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Like I said, at this point, I'm waiting on direction, so.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm definitely the medical girl, not the negotiating girl.
I'm not trying to display my ignorance here, although I probably am. But what is this tax credit services? Because when I read through this contract, it seemed to imply that there was someone going to save us money on our taxes?
No.
It's for corporations that would basically grant us money.
And they get,
Oh, they
They
get
get
a
it.
tax
Yes.
credit. Okay,
Yes.
that makes a lot more sense, because I'm
Yeah.
like, we're not a tax-paying
No, they fund these
organization.
projects, and then in turn, they get the tax credits of their corporation.
Oh, see.
so it's
okay.
another way of getting money.
Right,
And just, oh, sorry.
yeah, okay.
But just so the board knows, I did run this through legal, this is like the third revision that we finally settled on once it ran through both legal offices. So this has been vetted by legal. So,
Great.
That's good to know.
Let's just say we get that percentage down.
yeah.
Good.
FEMA, so working with the BRIC program, they recently found out that there is money available for reconstruction that we can tap into. So we're chasing that as well as the hazard mitigation money. So that means that if we do get some money from the BRIC program, we may not need to get as much money from the Ryan group.
That would be great.
We might be able to kind of break it down into smaller sections. So we're just working through that. The organ seismic grant is what's included in the Kinsey's evaluation. They do that for us. We are going to have some discussions about that soon for timeline.
Right.
Because we're going to get.
Getting close.
That timeline in December.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about executive coming up for the building purchase.
The USDA World Grants, I'm working my way through the RD instructions 3570D. It's a very long document, but it tells me exactly how to apply, what the demographics are that we have to be able to show that we need. If we meet those demographics, it puts us in certain categories for certain funds. So it's still very much still an option on the table to get granted. So there's multiple funding sources that we can be looking at.
The less we have to ask from our community members, the better.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
The Celeste Tribal Grant I put in for more fire hose. It's a small match, but that should be coming in. We should get the results on that in the next month. They should be doing the quarter results soon. And then the FEMA staffing for adequate fire and safer grant, that typically opens up in February. So I will put in for a firefighter position that'll cover us for 2 years. So if we renew the levy this next November, we'll still have funding coming in for the safer for that first year of that levy, which means that we'll be able to put more away for equipment savings on the savings that we get for staff. So
I was just hoping we could get another person.
if that'll give us another person and
Two.
we'll pay for it.
I mean, two people, one from the grant and then one from the levy.
Well, we may have to talk about that.
We may have to.
There's obviously some changes at Seal Rock. The
Which is what I'd like to.
Solid interim chief. Not really sure what title to go with right yet. Hasn't come over here and we haven't had any discussions yet. But there have been some discussions of moving staff.
Do you think we could keep the executive session for personnel and maybe discuss that further?
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
I don't really have much more than that right now. So right now it's all just information in the wind. There have been no movements on personnel yet. I'd rather do that once I know for sure.
Do you know if Chief Ewing have you had much conversation with Chief Ewing at this point?
I haven't had any conversation with Chief Ewing yet.
Do you know if he's in the building yet, or?
I don't know when he's there, or how long he's there. I know when the crews go up and then they come back and say he's there. That's about it.
So how's the IDA, I guess, performing at this point?
Right now, it is performing as it has been. There have been no movements right now. There are talks of moving personnel around, and
reduce down the number on the engine and make an extra shift when we don't need it. So there's some conversations that we have. I don't have any official information on that.
Do we need to take any action as a board as far as contacting Steel Rock Board? Where do we stand on that?
Not until somebody makes a change or makes a decision on a change.
Okay. So then are you pretty much acting chief there? I mean, who's acting chief at this point
In Steel Rock.
in Steel Rock?
Chief Hewitt.
Okay, so
And
he's
then the
doing
day-to-day
operational.
operations are Derek.
Okay, so they do have somebody doing the day-to-day operation. Okay, that was my bigger question.
I covered it for a
Okay.
few days until they put a plan in place.
So,
And then
okay.
they set up. So,
Perfect.
the last grant we have, which was one we already have been approved for, which was the ability to match the wildland equipment we ordered back last April, just came in this month. So I'm able to finally close that grant out and get our matching half back. So some money will be coming in for that. It's not a lot, but that's coming in. Already talked about the academy, the building appraisal. I talked to Jeff with the Marinu and Associates this last week. He said he's planning on being here next week to do his site visit and says that the appraisal should be on track to be within the 6 weeks that he put on his proposal. So my guess is we'll have it sometime between November 3rd and November 7th. Pacific Office Automation, so after the board shared their concerns last month with Information Station, I turned to our legal office and I handed them the draft agreement that we were looking to putting in place once the agreement with Pacific Automation finally closed out. He reviewed it and he had concerns with us allowing Information Station to have access to the printer because nobody else public would have access to it when we release it. So, to be safe, I have completely shut that down. The printer from the Information Station has been removed. The printer from Pacific Automation is being renewed on the original agreement and has always been here, but is now the sole printer for the district. I've gone and addressed even further by pulling policy on district policy for if you have a second job that specifically details that when you are here on office hours, the district always comes first. I've done memorandums for record with both Wendy and Garrett, and they've signed it, understanding that when they are here, they are on district time. The Information Station is not to be done unless they are on their own personal time, by break or lunch. And that if they do information time when they're on district time, that it could lead to disciplinary action. So those are things we need as well. It's just a safety procedure to make sure that we're covered on all both sides, both for them and for us. Thank you for doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Garrett, did you want to talk about streaming, or did you want me to talk about that?
No, it's pretty simple, and essentially I'd like the district to purchase its own equipment. Right now I'm here as a volunteer, and as a volunteer I'm running my personal equipment to stream videos. I set it up, the district has had a YouTube page for eons. I finally figured out the logins to it, got signed up for the live stream, and that's where it's being live streamed right now on the district. Information Station no longer has anything to do with it. There is a sponsor role.
but I think that it's important for us as a district that we need to pony up and handle that here, whoever is, it's not us.
In our own equipment.
Our own equipment, everything else, there's no third party, there's no discretionary, anything. The thing is it doesn't put you guys in a bad light, it doesn't put us in a bad light.
And right now, it's on live on Central Coast YouTube channel.
Okay.
It was shared on information station.
Yeah, I think that's great. Right.
But yeah, like I said, budget's tight. Right now, we don't spend a whole bunch of money. So as a part-time volunteer now, I'd like to just not worry about the money and the equipment unless you guys really have a contention with it. And I honestly, it sits here until the next quarter.
I think we're on the
I don't
right
have
track.
time.
Yeah, I think we're on the right track. Eric, is there an ability to stream actually on our website versus a YouTube or something? There's none?
There is, well, I might be able to, well, YouTube, you don't, we used to, with IAS, we used to stream on Facebook solely. But you have to have a Facebook account in order to see it. That's why, even on.
Right, that's what I was wondering about our own website.
Right, well, even with Information Station, that's why we switched to live streams on YouTube and then sharing it to Facebook. Because YouTube, you don't have to have an account. Anybody can see it, it's public viewing, free, you don't have to have an account. So even being on the website wouldn't matter, you still have to have that streaming platform, that software that YouTube provides. So, it would just be a share basically on our website of YouTube. There's really no, unless we want to get into really expensive, video sharing software.
Oh, no.
You don't need to do. But, yeah, YouTube is, you don't have to have an account. Anybody, Joe Smith on the street can just pull up YouTube, not be signed in and see it live right now. So,
That makes sense.
Okay,
I think
thank
that
you.
What we could do to try to meet in the middle on that though, is that we could take the links to the videos and post them on our website.
That would be great.
So that if people were looking for the video, they wouldn't have to look for it on YouTube, they could look for it on our website.
That's a good idea.
That's a great idea, yeah, because like you said, not everybody has a Facebook account, and oftentimes that link is through the,
Have that.
I can actually share the link to the video, I can attach it to the meeting itself on our website, so like when people can go to get the agenda or the minutes of the meeting.
I think the only thing about that would be that some people may not do that if we just had like in the front a section, that, like where we have board meetings, and just have the link just right there, instead of it being attached to somebody having to look through a paper to try to find a
I would
link.
have to put, that website is very,
Busy?
this is how you do it. It's a special, designed for special districts, so it's very, you can only do this because it follows the law to the T. So I can look and see what we're able to do. There was a comment from a citizen about making the burn permit a little easier to find, so I was able to get that more predominant on the homepage. We might be able to put a link just to our YouTube channel on the homepage itself, so that people can go right to it to subscribe. Because once they subscribe, it'll send them an email notification. Anytime it goes live or anything like that, so they can just pull it right up from that email.
Just the simpler the better and the easier to find, that would be my sense.
So I'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
ProFest, so Greg provided me with a proposal. It shows quite a bit of information in here. So I quickly put a summary on this that if we want to move forward, I just need you guys to give me the approval to move forward, and then we can get it up and running. The initial setup fee is going to be $690, and then the annual cost, as we continue to go forward overall, will be $2280, and that's broken out monthly.
Now that takes care of Tidewater and Fiber. I think we gotta do it.
That really need to be addressed in order to remediate this more effectively. What's your sense on addressing those issues?
So we're gonna start working on those immediately. I just got this the other day, so we put the list together. We're gonna order a new door seal for the bottom of the Five Rivers Station door so that it closes that gap. Eric's gonna use a foam solution to try to seal all the way around the foundation. Oh, that's a big problem. We're gonna close up the hole that's in the back corner that Greg found. We're gonna get the trees trimmed so that the.
They can't climb over. You seen one, didn't you?
Matter of fact, the tree guy is coming for Tidewater next week, isn't he?
No, he gave me this verbal proposal, he's supposed to give me an actual, estimate for
Great.
Shane want to do it?
I just wanted to make sure we were addressing the issue so it didn't continue to be a problem.
So we need to cut back the insulation that they were, when they were getting on the roof. Now that they can't get on the roof, we'll go ahead and cut that back and get that replaced. So that's back in where it needs to go. The tender inside this picture, so I actually put on a pair of gloves and removed the majority of that mess myself before this picture was taken. It was actually a lot more there than that. We need to go out there with a shop vac and just clean it all up. So.
He's out there every day with consumer power, it looked really good.
Yeah, we tried to, correct the things that was
That looked really good.
and try to put more emphasis on it, and so, like I said, I went to myself, when I probably should have been sitting on my computer, and pulled everything out of the gutters myself.
No, it definitely looks good.
I was wearing gloves, but it was just too tight when the gloves, I had to big lockers to it right now, so.
Well, reviewing the report and the fact that you have action steps to fix all of the other issues that Greg and Procast had identified, I would motion to accept this and to move forward.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, Greg, thank you for such a
Thank you,
detailed
Greg.
report.
No problem. I'll jump on it first thing, so that the tree and tie wires getting removed, and the gap at the door tie wires only because the door closer's not on there, so they're not adjusted yet.
Well, we got one big alder there, Tidewater too, got a little weed looking.
I was just gonna say, most of the trees that we were talking about, me and Bob identified, we were talking about it, because it is clean, right on the.
Right towards your building, yeah.
Well, there's another one just past that one, there's actually two, so we identified two very concerning ones, one that is kind of on the bank, and you don't want to disturb that bank too much.
No.
So he's gonna leave, when it's all said and done, he'll leave probably about 6 to 8 feet, it's gonna be sticking out, but that's all that'll be there, just so the root system stays in place.
Right.
But that one is kind of down the hill there, it's almost in, kind of over the edge of the creek. The other one that we were talking about, where it's split in the middle, where it could split in the middle.
Yeah, that old school mark, she's
He's
gonna
gonna
go.
leave this side of it for cost reasons, but this side of it, he's gonna go away. So, yeah, he's in, we kind of looked over it.
Yeah, it'd be a shame to have this come down and do fire hall.
Yeah, spending all that money.
I know it.
So,
All right, we'll do.
And the only thing I didn't put on here, was that we did receive the battery tools for the.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you got the direction.
Yep, we got the gear and it's on the engine and ready to go.
You tried it all out and it works great.
Yep, the crews have been doing training and familiarizing themselves with it. It's pretty simple.
A lot quicker, I
and
remember,
then you go.
one man job.
Yeah, so those are on there now, and the gear, the equipment that we traded has been removed. And I'll take that back with us. So.
Very good.
And that's it for my report.
Okay, we got any questions from citizens or viewing audience?
there's nothing online.
Nothing online, okay. How about our good of the order?
I have a quick question. Chief Mason, when you were talking about the volunteers earlier, and again, just for my own education, when somebody comes in and wants to volunteer, like they have a special skill or something like that, but they're really not interested in fire, how do you guys manage that? Are they still accepted? Do you still have them go through fire, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, so when someone comes in, I immediately take them over to Rick, because he's the volunteer coordinator for the district. He meets with them and kind of finds out, what do you want them to do? Do you want to be a full-fledged firefighter, or do you want to just help mow the lawns? Once we find out that, we still like them to participate in the academy, so that they're aware of how things work, fire in general. But once we identify what they want to do, then we start to get them, once they're familiar with the organization, they're familiar with fire ops, we start to get them into, okay, you want to help out with maintenance, then we're going to have you talk directly with Eric, and whenever he has a maintenance project, he's going to call you and say, hey, can you come help me change the oil filters on the engine today, or whatever they need to do, whatever their area that they want to provide is. It's a little bit of a process, because we need to get them in here, and we need to get them to understand the organization as a whole, before we can say, okay, let's go do something.
So I guess what my question, that would lead to another question. So for that person who maybe would like to volunteer and maybe would not want to be a firefighter, Has there been a consideration whether or not that extra amount of hours and commitment to go through fire academy may ward some volunteers off?
If it did, I would really hope that they came and talked to me first.
Okay.
You know, I think that there are many lines of communication, whether it's going to the instructor of the class all the way up to me. At the first night, I teach orientation for the academy even still, and I make it very, very open door that if you have anything, just come and let me know. So if somebody feels like going through the classes of the academy to understand the district, to understand the operations of the district is too much, I would hope that they would come tell me. I haven't had anybody come tell me, but if that's the case, if they come tell me, we'll definitely try to curtail that.
All right, thank you.
So people could volunteer just to help with, say, maintenance or different things, and just do that.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So we had talked about possibly scheduling a workshop.
A workshop.
Yes.
I think it's good, yeah.
I'm wondering if we want to talk about some potential dates or whatever. And I think we also need to kind of check with Chief Mason to find out,
Yeah, you're available.
What time you would need to come with materials.
I think that by early next week, I could probably have dates in your email boxes, and then you can look at all the dates.
For like a workshop.
Yeah.
We still need to have executive for the building.
Yeah, that would be part of the next meeting. The workshops are still public meetings.
They're public,
Right.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and so they still need to be noticed and so on.
Well, no, I think that's important.
But we don't make decisions at workshops.
Right, we just talk out.
We just talk about what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
What, how many hours do you think, or you'll get that to us?
We could start with 8, and if it's less, cool, and if we need more, we could reschedule.
Yeah, I mean, 8-hour streets can be tough, that's what I'm saying, try to maybe do it in
Like-
2 different days.
Yeah,
Be my
so
preference.
do 4, do a
We could
4.
like afternoon 4 to
Mhm.
start with, and then continue to build from there.
Yeah.
That seems
Because
reasonable.
I don't anticipate we're gonna get this all done in like one workshop.
Probably
but-
not.
Well, we had it started, that's the
We need
point.
to- but, you know, we just kind of need to get started.
Well,
And we've got holidays coming up, so I'm,
Yeah.
The sooner we get together, the better.
December are kind of.
Most of them are in the mornings.
you just need to remember though that when I negotiated that with the city, that I took the bar training and a bar function to take priority over others.
Yeah, and their agreement actually says that if it's fire related, fire service related, that they could
So we'll try to work around those meetings that are scheduled, but
I think most of them are in the morning time.
yeah.
Chief Mason, only because my work schedule's so lovely. Just to let you, for me, the only days that are available in the beginning of November are the 1st through the 5th, and then literally the 6th through the 26th, I am like booked.
First through the fifth.
Yep. I love working 10 days in a row, it's awesome.
Sounds lovely. Banker's hours are really tough too, I don't know if you've heard about them, but the 8 to 5 is
It's terrible.
so hard.
Terrible.
I think I'll have multiple options. where-
Okay, good. Thanks.
Anything else?
All I got.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I really appreciate that there are people here
Yes.
from our community. Thank you for being here to have your voice heard. All of you, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Yay.